Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will finally do a drugstore makeup tutorial. Lots of you have asked for it the last couple of months, so finally here it is. And today I will use the Maybelline The Nudes eye palette. But first I will start using the Essence White eye pencil underneath my brow bone to highlight. And then blending out the pencil using my finger. Now the first shade that I will use from the palette is a matte black shade. And I'm using a Morphe brush to create a crease line. It doesn't really matter if the line isn't very sharp. We will carve it out later, so don't worry about that. So how you want to create this look totally depends on the shape of your eye. I try to follow the line where my crease is when I open my eyes. So when you create the crease line, make sure that you open your eyes now and then to see if the line is where your crease is when you open your eyes. I hope that makes sense. And for those who notice that my voice sounds weird, I'm having a sore throat, so that's the reason why my voice sounds a bit weird today. Now I'm going in with the soft yellow shade from the palette. And I'm using my Sigma E40 brush and I will blend this shade above the crease line that I created. These shades tend to have kind of fallout, so make sure that you first tap off the excess product off your brush so your face won't be filled with all the eyeshadow, because that's what happened with me. You can see the eyeshadow sitting in my lashes. Now I'm going in with the next shade. This is a brown shade. It doesn't have a lot of warmth in it. And I'm using my Sigma E45 brush and I'm just blending this right above the the crease that I created. And now I'm starting to create my transition. So the Maybelline The Nudes eye palette contains matte shades but also shimmery shades. When I compare the matte shades with the Makeupgeek eyeshadows, for example, these aren't completely matte. It does have a slight shimmery glitter inside of it. I noticed when I took pictures, and I just saw difference when I normally use eyeshadows from a little bit more expensive brands. But for the price and for the fact that you can buy it at a drugstore, it's just very nice. And also for those who don't have a lot of money to spend on eye makeup. Now I'm going in with the next shade and I'm using my Sigma E34 brush to blend this right above the previous shade that I blended in my crease. This will make sure when you apply a lighter shade between a very light and a dark shade that you will get a very nice transition. Now I'm going back in with the shade that I applied before, and I'm using my Sigma E45 brush. I didn't find the shade intense enough, so I'm going back in. To make sure that everything is well blended out, I'm going back in with the soft yellow shade and my Sigma E40 brush, and I'm just blending everything together. Now I'm using the lightest shade from the palette and I'm using a Morphe M210 brush to apply this underneath my brow bone. Now I'm going back in with the Essence eye pencil and I will apply this eye pencil over my whole eyelid. And I will also apply this right underneath the crease line to make it look very sharp. I'm going back in with the shade that I applied underneath my brow bone, and now I will apply this at the beginning of my eyelid using a MAC 242 brush. Since these shades aren't very pigmented, you can make your brush with and this will intensify the color. Now I'm using the warm bronzy brown shimmery shade from the palette. I'm using the same MAC 242 brush and I will start applying this shade in the middle. And I will blend this towards the beginning so it will blend together with the first shade that I applied on my eyelid. And again I made my brush wet using a bit water and this will make the shade much more shimmery. Now I'm going in with the brown shade right underneath the shade that I just applied. And I will apply this right next to the other shade, using the same MAC 242 brush. Now I'm going back in with the black shade and I'm using my MAC 219 brush to press this at the outer part of my eyelid. Now I'm taking a different brush. This is the Morphe M506 brush and I applied a bit of the dark black shade from the palette and I'm going to blend everything out. I just don't want the black part at the outer corner to be very packed on, so I'm going to smooth out the edges, and because I also applied black in my crease, I really like how this all comes together at the outer part. So I haven't used any sticky tape today, so I will use some concealer to make the look way more sharp. I'm using a concealer brush from Crown Brush, which isn't available anymore unfortunately, but I'm just going right underneath the edges and it will give me a very sharp eye look. I know this isn't a drugstore concealer, but use whatever concealer you have at home. It doesn't have to be a MAC concealer. For my eyeliner I'm using the Sigma Wicked Gel Eyeliner, and once again you can use whatever eyeliner you have at home. This is one of my favorite eyeliners because it's intense black, and I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeliner brush in the number 3. If you want to see a more in-depth eyeliner tutorial, I will link it down in the description bar. And what I think is a very nice drugstore eyeliner is the eyeliner from Maybelline. It's a gel eyeliner, I'm not sure what the name is, but I have used it in the past and it's also very nice. For in my waterline I'm using the MAC Graphblack eye pencil. This is a waterproof eye pencil. I did it off camera, and I'm using the black eyeshadow from the palette with a very tiny blending brush from Morphe, and I will apply this shade right underneath the lower lash line. Now I'm using this shade and I will blend this right underneath the black eyeshadow that I just applied. I'm using a Sigma smudge brush in the number E21. I'm using a different brush. This is the Sigma E54. I wanted it to be a bit more blended out. You can use any blending brush that you have at home. Now I'm using the Eylure Grand Glamour Lashes by Vegas Nay. And this is the finished result. I really hope you like my first drugstore makeup tutorial. Let me know if you want me to create more looks using this palette, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!